Oh, yes, it is that time again. We count it all joy to be together with you on this day. It is always time to make that change. Doc and I, we're going to explore a whole bunch of topics today. One, Rwanda is trying to jump into the fray. Rwanda, a country on the continent of Africa, is basically in talks right now with Washington on receiving deported migrants from the United States of America. This is nothing more than a big money maker. Now that they're pulling in countries from the continent of Africa, those are the things that make you want to go, Dr. West. I don't know if you remember when Arsenio Hall had his show and he would always do a segment about the things that make you go, And then, could this be a moment for a black pope? Inquiring minds want to know. We're going to dive into those topics. But before we get to all that, the doctor, the one and only Dr. Cornel West, is in the house. Doc, what is on your heart, your soul, and your mind on this day?
But my dear sister, it's always a blessing to be in dialogue with you. I get asked all the time, can I be interviewed on your show? Oh, we have no interviewees. We have high quality commentary and analysis with my dear sister. And
Amen.
I was just on the Pierce Morgan show today. They were talking about the Democratic Party and where it goes. And they had Smith and they had Brother Shink and had Brother Geraldo and the younger brother, I forget his name, David. And I was saying, Sister Nina Turner is a giant who is doing all she can in the Democratic Party. And it's just it's hard to see them having the kind of respect for you that they should. They ought to be embracing you. They ought to be sponsoring you. They ought to be pushing you out there. And because Stephen Smith, he's a talented brother, but this brother acting like he the best. They acting like he the best thing since sliced bread. And I said, what? And you got Sister Nina's been here all this time on the inside, proving herself, taking a stand, talking about poverty, talking about Gaza, talking about working folk. And then Brother Shink made a strong point in your behalf in terms of the freedom budget, something that we have had a chance to talk about on our show, Truth Time. And I talked about our show in Tavis and so forth. Brother Tavis and Geraldo go way back. Geraldo got a big smile on his. Anytime I say Tavis, he got a big smile on his face. But Geraldo's in centrist space. He's a moderate brother, 80-something years old, looking like he's 55. But it was interesting to me that this discussion about the future of the Democratic Party was one in which Pierce just didn't want to be as honest as he should about what you stand for in the party and the establishment in that party being so fearful of you. And so this is what is on my mind, because I just finished just 2 or 3 minutes ago. And I just wanted to convey that and just give you a sense of, what is your response to this kind of discussion that we have?
Yeah, thank you, Doc, so much. What a pleasant surprise to have you and Brother Jake on the Pierce Morgan show together. I've been on there quite a few times. It's easy to disregard Black women. I think that's one part of it. That is a historic challenge, bar none. I'm not attaching necessarily any racial bias towards it, but we know as a matter of practice and pattern, Black women who make history, who are movers and shakers, who get things done, at times are forgotten about. I thank you and Jink for lifting me. You guys, you both can lift me because you've been side by side with me. You know the kind of work and the kind of sacrifice. It's easy to point towards celebrity. So that would be my second point. They're thinking that the counter to a President Trump, who is a celebrity, is another type of celebrity. And no shade to Brother Stephen A. I mean, I was just on the Cuomo show with him on a panel with Chris Cuomo and him and Brother Bill O'Reilly and a whole host of other folks from different political backgrounds. But they're just looking at they who are pushing up a Stephen A. Smith as opposed to somebody like me or other people who've been really fighting within the party to push it and taking the hits and making the sacrifices. It is looking at this from a narrow window that is going to take another celebrity type to be able to push back against Trump and MAGA. I don't believe that to be true. And my third point on this, they're thinking about the Democratic Party apparatus itself as a party, and leaders like me, I think about the people. I think if we center the people and the mission, everything else is going to fall in place. They looking at personality. I'm looking at the purpose.
No, and it's interesting you had mentioned celebrity, because you know who else's name came up in a serious way was Jon Stewart. It's the first time I ever heard anybody be pushing Jon Stewart.
Oh no, they pushing him, Doc. They pushing Brother Jon Stewart too. Again, nothing against either one of them, but what sacrifices have they made internal to fighting against the neoliberal structure? None.
None at all. So I just said, look, if you're looking for a celebrity, what about David Chappelle?
I know that's right.
I said, if it's just be sheer celebrity, you know what I mean?
That's it. And
from the dead, we got some celebrity.
Oh, we got some, Doc. Minister Malcolm X. I mean, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But I mean, in many ways, you are a celebrity too, though. Let's just be honest about it. It's not the kind of celebrity known for being on television, having your own show, and part of that glitz and blitz. You see, you're about substance, you're about content, you're about serious struggle. But that's what I told him about Brother Stephen. I said he's a highly talented brother and thing.
Absolutely.
But you know, the idea that somehow the way they were talking about him was like he was the great rescuer. I'm thinking like, wow, has it really come to this? Now, when they asked me, I told them up front, both parties beyond redemption. The country is spiritually sick. The system's politically corrupt. And if we don't come up with some kind of fundamental transformation, we are all going under. But, you know, they said, well, that's not the most concrete thing. I say, that's true. That's true. I made my run and I got my justice for all party. We try to do what we can do. But I said, in the end, you know, for me, it's about truth rather than just expediency. It's about integrity rather than just popularity. And you have to have voices out there that's going to try to tell the truth regardless of the consequences. Because sooner or later, everybody got to come to terms with the reality.
I said, Doc, and somebody that has a vision. So again, I mean, I did not think this would be what's on your heart, soul, and mind today, Doc, but I really appreciate you so much. I adore you. I know our audience knows that we adore each other. And it's always a beautiful thing to know that people are speaking highly of you when you're nowhere around. And it means a lot to me. I definitely have made those requisite sacrifices, but if they're only looking at pure celebrity, and you're right in a way, and I hate when they put politicians in the celebrity category, but that's where we are as a nation. Yeah, I do have my own type of celebrity, but that celebrity is based on the work that I've done and the hits that I've taken, and not taking anything away from any of these men that they are lifting up. And I mean no malice when I say that either. I just mean they have not been in that lane, so they have not made those kinds of sacrifices. They have not had those kinds of political battles. And I don't know yet what their vision may be, because fighting against MAGA and Trumpism is one thing, but having a vision to provide provision for the people is another. And that really is what the Freedom Budget is all about. So big ups to you. Big ups to Brother Jink of TYT. Yeah, just big ups all the way, Doc. When we come forward, listen, I'm going to be smiling all the way through us coming forward. When we come forward, we will continue this conversation and so much more. You're listening to Truth Time.
Speaking truth to power and to the powerless. This is Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. If you missed our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall, the Altadena Eden Fire, 100 Days and Counting, you missed an evening of reverence, reflection, and reality.
You gotta live in the reality, because this is it. Every day you wake up, is this my life? Don't stay in denial, because yes, it is. Don't stay in bargaining where you're praying for a miracle, and if it wouldn't have happened, then this is what I would have done. It did.
Our panel participants kept it real. really real.
I think, number one, it's amazing to me how we ignore systemic racism in our community. And as a people, we've apologized for so much. But when will we stop apologizing for what we have paid for? Because the truth of the matter is we paid for this.
You can always count on KBLA Talk 1580 to give it to you straight, no chaser. When you love folk, you tell them the truth. Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash.
It's me, Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash. I see those dry elbows, baby. But don't worry, get moisturized right in the shower. So hydrated you can skip the lotion after.
Don't want to see it dry no more. Skin so moisturized with body wash.
Look at you now. No more dry skin. Your skin gets the moisture it craves with
Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
To thine own self be true. More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner coming your way right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
You always got to be true to you before you can be true to anybody else. And that is how we rock and we roll on Truth Time. Doc, you really stunned me today with all of this. I'm still trying to take it all in. Again, big ups to you and Brother Jink.
But I would pit your charisma against the charisma of Stephen Anthony Smith any day. And I'm not putting the brother down. I'm just being true. I'm just being true. And I think he would acknowledge in terms of substance and content, given the work done, that he does something else. And what he does well in terms of the kind of work. And they say he was talking about he got a big new contract of millions and millions of dollars. I said, that's fine, you know. But love of money can become idolatrous. You got to watch yourself. More money, more problems.
You do, Doc. I mean, I had the play, you know, I know of him, obviously. And last week I had a chance to be with him. And I said, as I said, some others on Chris Cuomo's show. And I know you've interviewed with Chris many times. So I want to lift up our brother there. And, you know, I got a chance to talk to him after the fact. He seems like a very committed, a lovely human being, very good at what he does. That does not necessarily mean that just because he's good in his venue, that he should necessarily run or not run, because I wouldn't take that from anybody. But if they're just looking for pure entertainment celebrity, that's one category. If you're looking for somebody that has been on this journey and this mission and standing up and taking the hits and has a vision, then him and I, we are similarly gifted in our field, but we are on two different paths. And hey, if Stephen A want to rock and roll, you know, maybe we can work together on this thing, Doc. I'm for it. I will rock and roll with anybody that's going to stand up for the least of these and do something stunningly different for working class people of all background, those people you call the everyday people of the United States of America.
Oh, wonderful. So you all had a nice kind of conversation with each other.
We did. Yeah. Afterwards, we really did. And he commended me, you know, for the things that I had to say. And I'm going to tell you, Doc, social media was rocking so much so that I'm told President Trump actually called in that night on that show, which was last Wednesday. I didn't get a chance to interact with President Trump, but they did. And by the time Chris got to me, when all was said and done, I'm told that after the president, I was the second most highly rated comments. My comments rated the second highest behind the sitting president.
See, I didn't know that. Isn't that? I'm so glad I raised that then.
Me too. And I'm on there with Stephen A. and with Bill O'Reilly, you know, and some other, I call him Corporal Q Ball, but they had him on there. Why am I blanking on this man's name? I'll think of it. But yeah, it was a really good dialogue. and I was one of the special guests in the audience, mic'd the entire time, and I had a chance to Carville.
Oh, Carville, James
Yeah, James Carville was on there too. So that was all of them and me in the audience. And by the time when Cuomo got to me, I just laid it out about DEI, about making federal workers the enemy. When did the postal worker become our enemy? You know, I talked about diversity, equity, inclusion, and I talked about the suffering of the people in this country. That these are the things this president should be focused on. If he wants to be great, we all for it. Be great by increasing the minimum wage. Be great by canceling student debt. Be great by giving us Medicare for all, all those things. Doc, hey.
You threw down.
Hey, in less than 3 minutes.
Lord.
So, yeah, Stephen A. approached me afterwards. I mean, we talked. We had a conversation. And, he told me, he said, keep doing what you're doing. So I'm not so sure how familiar he was with me before that. Certainly I'm familiar with him because I got a whole bunch of men in my family that rock with the sports and women too, even my boo. And it was a great interchange, exchange with him. So we can't be just picking celebrity though, just for celebrity. And that goes for any of these so-called celebrities any of the celebrities that are not in the political realm. We got to really concentrate on what the purpose and what the mission is. It is not to save the Democratic Party for the sake of saving the Democratic Party. I could care less about the duopoly, the private corporations that we have allowed in the United States of America take over voting. I could care less about them. What I care about is the everyday people who are suffering in this country at the hands of a duopoly that answer to the money class in this country, Doc. That's what I care about.
Mm-hmm. No, that's exactly what I had a chance to talk about. Brother Stephen A. Smith, he has a legendary pastor, Pastor Bernard, who used to be a member of the Black Panther Party back in the 60s. But he's been pastor now for almost 45 years. He's had me a number of times to speak. He's got magnificent social services there in the community. It's the largest Black church in New York.
Oh, wow. Wonderful. Well, I know he had you, Doc. And that's what your run was about, too. Oh. And the duopoly tried to stop you, particularly the Democratic. The Republican side of the duopoly ignored you altogether because they knew that the Democrats was going to do all the dirty work.
I think that's true. That's true. But in the end, as you say, it's about the people, it's about their suffering, it's about speaking to it, it's about trying to alleviate it, it's about being true to yourself. It's about holding on to your integrity in a world in which everybody seems to just want to get over. It's about bearing witness in a way that may not make sense in the eyes of many other folk, but it makes all the sense to you because it's based in the love that's flowing out of your soul. And after that, hey, let's party.
Amen, Doc. Amen. I'm gonna text Brother Jink and tell him you brought it to the fore, and to also to thank him. And like I said, I've been on Pierce several times.
He was strong. He really was.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'm glad that you go on shows like that, Doc, because that audience needs to hear different voices. And big ups to Brother Morgan as well. He didn't have to have different voices, especially voices like ours. But he definitely tries to invite all in.
He really does.
Yeah.
Deeply into the anti-Palestinian racism and how too many people in America believe an Israeli life has more value than a Palestinian life. And he kept saying, whoa, that's not true. I said, yes, it is, brother.
It's true.
Here to tell no lies now.
We don't want it to be true. You know what I mean, Doc? But it is true.
Exactly, because we know morally they're exactly the same. They ought to have the same value. But in terms of how things are perceived, what kind of policies we have, so he and I got a chance to really go at it on that issue, which was good because people they hear that nationally and internationally.
No, they really do. Absolutely, Doc. And glad your voice is there. Well, speaking of our Palestinian sisters and brothers, we know that Michigan Attorney General dropped all charges against 7 pro-Palestinian protesters. Dana Nesso acts after Guardian reports detailed her extensive links to university regents calling for prosecution. So that's the lane that she was in. She attempted to really hold the hammer over these students. But Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel announced on Monday that she was dropping all charges against 7 pro-Palestinian demonstrators arrested last May at the University of Michigan encampment. And the announcement came just moments before the judge was to decide on a defense motion to disqualify Nessel's office over the alleged bias. So she jumped the judge.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, she jumped the judge. And the Guardian did extensive reports detailing her extensive links to university regents calling for prosecution. So don't think that she was on the righteous side of this. She was not, but she got wind of how the judge was going to rule and jumped the judge.
Interesting. This is in Michigan.
Yeah, yes, sir. It is in Michigan. And defense attorney Amar Maclid said the motion largely stemmed from an October Guardian report detailing Nessel's, and Nessel is the attorney general, extensive personal, financial, and political connections to university regents, calling for the activists to be prosecuted. We have to lift up independent media, places like our network, our station that we're on, KBLA Talk 1580. Very important that Brother Smiley had this vision and allows voices like ours, giving room for voices like ours. And the Guardian is another such publication where by and large, they go against the mainstream media grain and they report on things that would not necessarily be reported on. But yeah, she got caught with her hands in the cookie jar.
Wow.
Yeah, Doc. That's it. And so the attorney for the defense went on to say this was a case of selected prosecution and rooted in bias, not in public safety issues. Maclid added, "We're hoping this sends a message to other institutions locally and nationally that protest is not a crime and dissent is not disorder."
Wow. That's a beautiful way of putting it.
Wow. And I think was it Thomas Jefferson who was one of them that said that dissent is the highest form of patriotism.
Wow. Sound like James Baldwin too.
Come on. I love this country so more than any other. And because of it, I reserve the right to critique it. I'm paraphrasing him.
That's
forever.
awesome.
Ever. That's pretty much what he said.
Exactly right. He called it a lover's quarrel. A lover's quarrel.
Speak on it, Doc. Speak on it.
Oh, Lord. Good God. But you know, my Bible tells me to love thy neighbor, though. It doesn't say love thy country. You
love thyself.
You love people. You know what I mean? You try to love everybody as a human being made in the image and likeness of a loving and almighty God. But the whole notion of nationalism and loving country misconstrued as just loving those in your nation or loving them more than anybody else in the world, that's unchristian. It's inhuman. It really is. And so the clash, I mean, this is where you get Judaism versus Zionism. You see, Judaism has a universalism about it. You know, love thy neighbor. That's in Leviticus. Let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream in all nations. That's Amos. He ain't just talking about one nation. Every nation in the world, you see. But then when it comes to just the tribalism, all of a sudden the narrowness sets in, and you got a form of idolatry.
That's it, Doc. You know, and what about, I mean, the golden rule is my understanding, but Doc, you the one, this your lane. I believe that the golden rule streams through. It may be, the verbiage may be different, the phraseology may be different, but the notion of do unto others as you would have them do unto you is a major tenet of all the major religions. Now, do I have that correct?
Well, put it this way, so many different cultures, African indigenous peoples in Asia, in Europe, have versions of the golden rule. You are absolutely right.
That seems simple enough to me if people want to follow it. So I don't understand where the controversy comes in. And the whole notion of charity starts at home and it spreads abroad. The key point is that it spreads. It doesn't just start there, but a lot of the actions and reactions that we have for geopolitical purposes, and plus the Western nations, the imperialism, the empires, you call it, is rooted in the exact opposite of the universal golden rule. When we come forward, Dr. West and I going down paths we didn't intend to, but the creator of the universe did. You're listening to Truth Time.
The truth will set you free, but first it might raise your blood pressure.
I'm not jiving you, man.
More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says he's not sure what Canada's prime minister wants to talk about when the two meet.
I guess he wants to make a deal. Everybody does.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is scheduled to speak with President Trump at the White House today. This will be Carney's first trip to Washington since he was elected last week. British Nigerian nursing student Elizabeth Tamilore Odunsi, 23 years old, was fatally stabbed in her Houston apartment just days before graduation. Her roommate, Chester Grant, was charged with her murder after an argument, reportedly over their cats. Grant was booked into jail after a failed suicide attempt and charged with murder. And Floyd Mayweather is suing Business Insider for $100 million, claiming defamation over a report that questioned a major real estate deal he was linked to. He says the article was false and damaging to his reputation. Business Insider has responded, calling the lawsuit meritless and vowing to defend its reporting. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
LeBron is co-chair of the Met Gala event that took place Monday night in New York, but he was unable to attend. LeBron had to stay home in L.A. because of his injured left knee. LeBron has a grade 2 medial collateral sprain in his knee and is facing a 3 to 6 week recovery. No surgery was required. While keeping his knee propped up, LeBron has more time to think about whether he wants to return for a 23rd season. Clippers president Lawrence Frank said he wants Kawhi Leonard and James Harden to remain a part of the team's foundation for next season. Leonard is 33. Harden turns 36 in August. The Boston Celtics' overtime loss to New York Monday night should be a lesson for all coaches. The Celtics missed a playoff record 45 three-pointers. At some point, Celtics coach Joe Mazzulla should have told his players to stop shooting threes and get closer to the basket. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community, educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caSMPvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. With so many shows on our station weekdays and weekends, it's hard for me to keep track of all the guests who are actually in studio on any given day. I wish I'd known in advance that LADA Nathan Hochman was coming in studio for a recent interview. Had I known, I would have loved to have personally greeted him and then asked him why LA City Council member Curran Price is being criminally prosecuted for allegations of misconduct similar to the conflict of interest violations for which former City Council member Kevin De Leon is only being fined. What's that about, Mr. DA? In fairness to Mr. Hochman, it was former DA George Gascon who actually filed felony charges against Councilman Price. I opined then on how these criminal charges against Price did not pass the smell test. I was concerned then that this was yet another wayward prosecution of a high-profile black elected, not to mention a waste of taxpayer money. I am even more convinced now that this is a hot mess. To be clear, neither you or I want a bunch of self-serving, greedy, conflict of interest criminals managing the people's business inside LA City Hall. But we also don't want selective or targeted prosecution of black politicians. We've seen that movie before, and we don't need a sequel. It's hard to watch Kevin De Leon get away with paying an $18,000 fine for repeated ethics violations, what he calls an oversight, and at the same time, watch the DA's office continue its criminal prosecution of Curran Price for issues allegedly involving his wife's clients. Motions, I might add, that were passed unanimously by the LA City Councilman. What are you saying, Tavis? I'm glad you asked. DA Hochman did not start this inquisition, but he certainly has the power to stop it. I have said it before, and I will say it again. Fundamental fairness. In the absence of fundamental fairness, we experience a cascade of deteriorating conditions. The erosion of trust, the weakening of social cohesion, alienation, marginalization, the legitimacy of authority diminishes, cynicism and disengagement grow, and ultimately, people abandon civic participation altogether. Fundamental fairness, Mr. Hochman, that's all we ask. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
Yes, you are. And we are so glad you are. Doc, I'm going to tell you something. I never tire of hearing Brother Tavis Smiley's editorial. Fundamental fairness. That's the word. That's a word for a lifetime.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
True.
He laying that thing out, Doc. This is what we do about this time is all of our viewers who are live and hot on our YouTube channel in real time. We want to thank you so much. And to all of you who listen to us on a regular basis, whether you comment or not, whether we know that you're commenting or not, we really do. We really, really do appreciate you. So, Doc, we going into our YouTube live chat. We got Pastor Harold is in the house. We got Brother Terrence Allen Duncan. Good morning, Dr. West and Senator Turner. Agree with Dr. West on supporting the senator in her political career. What can we do as constituents to hold politicians accountable? It's bigger than the vote, Doc. I love, I want to hear what you have to say about it. I mean, voting is just a part of the process. It is not the only part of the process. We have to inspect what we expect, and we have to hold these politicians accountable based on what they promised to do, based on what we need, and based on their actions after they get elected, and give them a midterm grade. Hey, if you ain't, we're going to let you know you got an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F, and give you the opportunity before your next election rolls around to get it right. If they don't want to get it right, then we got to get somebody else who's willing to do it. So I say weigh what they say based on, measure that based on what they do and who they're standing up for, and also who they're taking money from.
Inspect and expect. I like that dialectic. That is about accountability. Brother Tavis wrote a powerful book called Accountability. That was during the Obama years that got him in trouble. Of course, got a number of us in trouble. But accountability is so crucial.
It is. I mean, you and Brother Tavis was making good trouble before it was acceptable. I think critique of Brother President Barack Obama is somewhat acceptable today, but Black people started to deify the first Black president. Certainly we needed that symbol. We needed something like that to happen in this country, but it is not significant to sustain or to change the conditions of poor people in this country and other working class people. So he did that. Then the question becomes, what did he do with the power that he had? And Black people being so traumatized, part of us was saying, don't give a brother no more trouble. Don't ask him for nothing. Oh no, we're gonna ask him for a lot.
No,
and you and Brother Tavis, y'all did that, Doc. You did.
I'll never forget when they had the Black leaders came out in the snow after meeting with Brother Barack Obama, and they asked him. They said, "What Black agenda did you put forward?" And they said, "There is no Black agenda. It's just an American agenda." Well, they were then just saying exactly what Brother Obama was saying. There is no Black. There is no white. There's just America. No, no. America has always been characterized by the legacy of those who were enslaved, Jim Crowed, and lynched, being treated horribly, versus a white supremacist practice that was lifting a number of white brothers and sisters, many of them like Trump, mediocre, finding themselves in over their head, but in high places. Now, we want to treat white brothers and sisters fairly like everybody else, but the idea that there's just one America and you don't want to come to terms with the history of the country, no, that might get you elected and that might get you some kind of pat on the back, but it won't get you a toehold in the kingdom of truth.
That's it, Doc. And nobody wants it to be true more than the descendants of enslaved people, that there was one America that treated everybody pretty much the same. We've always wanted that. This country has never given us that. So yes, big ups. I mean, we definitely support and lift our first African-American president. It is symbolically
powerful. That's why so many of us work so hard for him.
That's it. But it doesn't sustain us. It doesn't sustain us when you redline. It doesn't sustain us that in 2008 we lost most of our wealth because of the recession, the Great Recession, and the housing. It doesn't sustain us that we die at higher rates than anybody else of most of the diseases, the chronic diseases, yet we don't have universal health care. It doesn't sustain us when you didn't cancel student debt. It doesn't sustain us when you didn't increase the federal minimum wage. And we can go on and on and on. So yeah, symbolically, it means a lot. I mean, I was over the moon, like a lot of Black people when you're running on hope and change. But when we peel back the layers, there was a lot of hope, but there was not very much change.
No, and that recession you're talking about was because of Wall Street greed.
Yes, sir.
Rule of law would have meant that many of them would have gone to jail. Not one of them went to jail. And yet at that very moment, you got policing becoming more brutal. You got Black Lives Matter, the movement emerging. I just met with their board, with our dear sister Melina. We had a wonderful, wonderful meeting yesterday.
Excellent.
Black Lives Matter emerging right under Black president, Black attorney general, Black Homeland Security. That means a system is in place, not just individual faces, not just Black faces in high places. A system is in place. And if you don't deal with that system, then you're going to end up with this little rotation of all these different individuals, no matter who they are.
That's right, Doc. And it's not immutable, meaning it can change.
That's right.
And he had the power to do some things, especially on that second term. I was of the mindset as a lot of Black people, let the brother get a second term. I was rolling with that. I understand that because the harsh rules that apply to the average Black person in this country also applied to him. He just had what my grandmother say, new levels, new devils, right? That's what he was dealing with. But on that second term, I just knew he was going to go ham, as they say in the Black vernacular, for Black people. And he never did that. So we shouldn't be deifying people. That's what I'm saying. So Brother Terrence Allen Duncan, thank you for that.
Oh, that was about that question.
Yeah, we got all off on our tangent, Doc, on that question. We got Pastor Harold. You gave the people a word of encouragement. We loving that. Brother Terrence Duncan, again, we are over celebrity worship. They have used as tools And we really are. We should, Doc, I tell them all the time, I worship God. I don't worship a party. I don't worship an individual. I worship God and I seek to serve the people.
That is so crucial. So crucial, because idolatry is a dangerous thing. Dangerous thing. Love of money, excessively done, idolatrous. Tied, my Bible says, you see. Love of position, love of pleasure, love of status. All of these things are idolatrous in so many ways. The love of God, when that God is telling you to love thy neighbor, you into some joy.
Yeah, you are. And it should be what we could do with the title. What can you do with the position? That's why we always end with titles are good, but purpose is better. A whole lot of people with fancy titles, they get into these rooms and they go crazy that they in the room. They done forgot why they are there. But on Truth Time, we never forget. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. When we come forward, we will continue.
It's Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay, things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like being inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Truth crushed to earth shall rise again. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
It absolutely will rise again. And so glad you are with us. Doc, we got a few more in the live chat in the house on YouTube. Again, thank you so much. We got 3/4. Hello, Dr. West and Senator Turner. We appreciate this weekly dialogue. It's truly been refreshing. I'm curious to see, how should we approach this, the 100th year of Brother Malcolm X's birthday? Yeah, that's it. May 19th, 1925. Our dear brother, our Black Prince, as Ozzie Davis described him when he eulogized him, would have been 100 years old this month, right around the corner. So how should, that's a very good question. Thank you so much for that, 3/4.
Lord, Omaha, Nebraska, we thank God for him. We thank God for Louise, his precious mother, and Earl, his precious father, bringing that giant and genius and love warrior and freedom fighter into the world. And we, in order to pay really serious tribute to him, it's a matter of building on his legacy. We started this show talking about Africa and AFRICOM and what's happening in Rwanda and the way in which neo-colonial African leaders are selling their souls to the American empire and not being true to their own native, poor, and working class African brothers in those nations. And we have to be true to Malcolm's legacy, which was an anti-imperialist legacy. And anti-imperialism is about what? Self-respect, self-determination, self-defense, self-love, and embracing the wretched of the earth in all corners of the earth. That's part of what Malcolm was about. Why? As Ossie Davis said, because he loved us.
He loved us so.
Yes, he did.
Wow. Yeah, he loved us so, Doc. You know, making me think. I mean, you and I talked a while ago about the story when Brother Spike Lee was trying to bring to life the story of Minister Malcolm X and knowing that he needed more than an hour to do it. And being turned down time after. Why does it have to be so long? Why does it have to cost so much? He literally fundraised to bring that movie to the screen, to do as much justice to the light and the life of El-Haj Shabazz, who said he will always forever be known as Malcolm X as long as Black people are suffering. So.
Exactly right. And when Brother Denzel Washington didn't win the Academy Award, I knew, lo and behold, the Academy Award is not a serious institution any longer.
No, not at all. He channeled. I mean, even Spike Lee in retelling the story about the movie, he said it was moments on set where it just felt like Minister Malcolm X's spirit had entered the set, Doc.
Spike and Denzel did. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, they did that. That went beyond. I mean, that was spiritual, what they were able to accomplish. And the entire supporting cast, I mean, everybody that was involved. We have Angela, our dear Angela Bassett, playing Betty Shabazz. She did that too. She did it.
She performed in a magnificent way. Lord.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, she's an artist. She's a great artist.
Yeah, she is, Doc. They were on some other level. I mean, they wasn't in this stratosphere. They was way out there somewhere.
It was more than a film. It was a profound experience. They opened themselves and allowed the spirits from the past to come through and shape and mold their performance.
To use them in a mighty way. Malcolm X, born May 19th, 1925, and went to the ancestral plane on February 21st, 1965, very prematurely. We know that he was murdered, and we know that the government, levels of the government, had a lot to do with what happened to Brother Minister Malcolm X, as well as the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Medgar Evers, so many of our heroes and sheroes, Fred Hampton, the Black Panther, all of it. They infiltrated all of those Black organizations. One of the things that Minister Malcolm said, there's no better teacher than adversity. Every defeat, every heartbreak, every loss contains its own seed, its own lesson on how to improve your performance the next time. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. When we come forward, we will continue.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to here with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from Nitsa and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Barbecue season is back. Hey, it's Ellen.
And this is Sarah Beth.
And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich is that zesty barbecue sauce. I love that it was a little sweet, a little tangy, and with the mac and cheese.
I feel like I tasted the brown sugar bacon first. It was the absolute best combination. Pro tip, 3 sandwiches are always better than 1.
Order the Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich and a Coca-Cola on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
Love and truth always. Like, listen, we talk about being led by the Spirit. We're being led by the Spirit today. Just set off on a totally different agenda. I'm glad that we're rounding third and heading home by answering the questions of one of our viewers who centered Minister Malcolm X. Another one, stumbling is not falling. The minister said that stumbling is not falling.
Boy, that's a fresh word, isn't it?
It is, Doc. Oh my God, 100 years. He would have been 100 years old. Another, my alma mater was books, a good library. I could spend the rest of my life reading, just satisfying my curiosity. He was a student of the game, Doc.
He was a great intellectual.
PhD in life.
That's exactly right. Self-educated, turned his cell into a library.
There it is. And they couldn't outdo him. I mean, I really encourage people, one, to go back and watch the movie Malcolm X as inspired by Spike Lee, read the various books. I mean, we know we got the original, the autobiography of Malcolm X, written by Alex Haley. Manning Marble, Professor Marble, has done some really great works about Minister Malcolm X. There's video footage out there, and because of technology, one good way to use some of this technology is go to the tube, as my grandson would say, and pull up some of the videos of Minister Malcolm X going head to head. I mean, head to head with these folks who thought they were smarter than him because they had book knowledge. My grandmother used to talk about educated fools all the time.
He's so sharp. And you know, the great Maulana Karanga's writing the book on Malcolm X. It's going to be the definitive treatment of Malcolm X. He asked me to write the introduction many years ago, and I did right away. But he's been working on it ever since.
Yeah. When is it coming out, Doc?
Did he say this summer at the end of this year? And when that text comes out, we're going to have discussions all around this country.
Absolutely cannot wait. And you know, Doc, we had the opportunity to navigate with, and I think you did too, with the mayor of Berkeley, the former mayor of Berkeley. He just recently passed away.
Brother Gus.
Yeah, Brother Gus Newport. And the stories he told me, he was very close to Minister Malcolm X and even kept in touch with his daughters. He just recently passed away, I want to say about 2 years ago. But the things that I learned from him about Minister Malcolm X, that they were going to run him for Congress. They're going to run him. Now, you talking about something that Congress would have never been the same if Minister Malcolm X had made it, that they would have did everything to try to stop him from making it. But, yeah.
You in that legacy now. Can you imagine you being in Congress right now and telling the truth? Should we have so much security for you? 3 layers of security, but you would be laying it out.
Every chance I got, Doc, on behalf of the people of this nation. So absolutely that. And then Minister Malcolm X, this one right here, this is a stunner. You can't separate peace from freedom because no one can be at peace unless he has freedom.
Oh, that wisdom, that eloquence.
That's the moment we're in.
Isn't that the truth? Well, we need his spirit.
We do.
And you and I, we don't exist without that, brother. That's why, again, I want to thank Louise and Earl, just like I want to thank
Oh, Louise and Earl. And Louise was a pistol, Doc. She was a pistol.
At a Grenada, she was unbelievable. Earl was a Baptist preacher and a Garveyite to the court.
Yes, he was, and he was murdered by white supremacists. Well, you know what? This is our time today. Thank you so much for being with us, Dr. West and I. We love you so much. We're lifting you up. We want you to live your purpose, live in purpose, live on purpose, and above all, remember this: titles are good, but purpose is better. Until next time.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Studio for a recent interview. Had I known, I would have loved to have personally greeted him and then asked him why LA City Council member Karen Price is being criminally prosecuted for allegations of misconduct similar to the conflict of interest violations for which former City Council member Kevin De Leon is only being fined. What's that about, Mr. DA? In fairness to Mr. Hochman, it was former DA George Gascon who actually filed felony charges against Councilman Price. I opined then on how these criminal charges against Price did not pass the smell test. I was concerned then that this was yet another wayward prosecution of a high-profile black elected, not to mention a waste of taxpayer money. I am even more convinced now that this is a hot mess. To be clear, neither you or I want a bunch of self-serving, greedy, conflict of interest criminals